Hi guys, my name's Ellie, welcome to my channel, and today we are doing a palette focus on the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I really want to use like just peachy and delectable, maybe some of Peach Pit. I kind of want to do like peachy purple. That's my goal. I also finally have a plan about what I want to, ramble about while I do my makeup. It might not be for everybody, so I'm gonna warn anybody watching right now. I'm going to be ranting about cruelty-free and vegan makeup. I have a lot of feelings. If this is something that you really want to argue about, and you think you might not line up with my views, because I am not cruelty-free and I don't specifically buy vegan makeup. If the makeup I buy is vegan, that's a plus, but I'm not seeking it out. I'm not restricting myself to buying only vegan makeup. I'm also not a vegan, so there's that. If you are cruelty-free or vegan and restricting your makeup purchases and you do not want to discuss it, you do not want to hear a rant by somebody who is not cruelty-free, not vegan, I appreciate you stepping in and coming to see me, but this is not for you. So, let's get into it. So far I have eyeshadow primer on. I'm going to go ahead and put some beige shade on my crease to brow bone, and then we'll do the Bare Minerals little pigment that I've been putting on my brow bone as well. I'm currently feeling calm. I'm hoping that stays throughout this discussion that is one-sided and me just talking to a screen at this point. But yeah, in the comments, as long as we're friendly, I don't mind you guys chiming in. It is like, I'm on a couple makeup groups on Facebook, which is, other than YouTube, where I do most of my makeup chatting, because a lot of people in my life don't wear or don't particularly care about makeup or like makeup news. And the main thing that I will get into fights or back and forth with about people, because normally it's, just people talking about things they like and whatever, is cruelty-free status and vegan. I am not cruelty-free. I don't buy specifically cruelty-free makeup. I'm not restricting my purchases that way. And I'm not vegan, and I'm not restricting my purchases to vegan makeup. The problem that I tend to come across is people not understanding or changing the definition of cruelty-free and vegan to suit their own purposes, and then nitpicking somebody else's use of it. Cruelty-free refers entirely, in the makeup industry, when saying, oh, this product is cruelty-free, it refers to the finished product not having been tested on animals by that company. So the first thing that comes up a lot is people will add additional restrictions. People will say, oh, well, if the product is sold in China, the Chinese market insists on the right to take the product and test it on animals themselves. That doesn't affect the cruelty-free status of the company, because the company's not the one testing it, so it's still fucking cruelty-free. If that is an additional restriction you want to put on yourself, that's fine, but don't say, oh, well, this brand's not cruelty-free because they sell in China. The brand itself is not testing on animals. Same way, any of their components that are tested on animals before they buy them, it doesn't affect their cruelty-free status. There are a lot of individual additional restrictions people will put on it, and then will say stuff like, oh, blah, 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 it's not cruelty-free. It's fine if they don't meet your standards for purchase, that's fine. But that has nothing to do with whether or not they count as cruelty-free for other people. All it means is final product was not tested on animals by that company. The other thing that comes up a lot is people saying, oh, well, they're owned by, company A is owned by company B, and company B tests on animals for other things, even though company A is not testing on those items, and company B is not taking items from company A and testing them on animals. Just because Company B is testing other items on animals that are not Company A's items. They say neither one are cruelty-free, which that's not how it works. If you're not comfortable buying from a company that owns several companies and has conflicting things, or who, you know, if you say, oh, well, I don't want to buy from L'Oreal or any L'Oreal sub-companies, that's fine, but that's different than saying that a company owned by L'Oreal that is itself cruelty-free is not cruelty-free because it's owned by L'Oreal. I get very grumpy when people say, you know, thing that has a description and a set, this is what it means, doesn't mean that thing, because I have separate feelings. And the other thing that I get a lot is that if something's not vegan, it's not cruelty-free, because they think testing on animals is cruel, or they think having animal byproducts in the thing is cruel, but that's not what it means. If you feel the personal production process is cruel, that means you don't buy from it, but that doesn't mean that the cruelty-free label, which means a specific thing in this context, doesn't apply. So people will say stuff like, well, how can it be cruelty-free and not vegan? Because they're two separate markers. And that is kind of what prompted this. And I'm sorry if the person that I commented on, I tried to be nice, I tried to be friendly, I tried to just be like, hey, by the way, this means this and this means this. That's what it means. I'm sorry if they are different restrictions than what you want, but... So, that's my grump. I'm going to use puree in my crease and hopefully have enough energy and breath left to continue to discuss it. So, we had a similar issue in the discussion for on Beauty News. That was kind of how I realized this is one of the things that really frustrates me about the way people discuss things, because there's so much that's open to interpretation that you can say, oh, well, you know, for me this means that. I'm like, yeah, fine, whatever. But taking something that has a set definition and changing it to fit your narrative, or arguing it because you have separate feelings that don't actually affect the designation of the definition, frustrates me. So we had... I watch Beauty News, Kat and Haley, they're fantastic, and they got a set of lashes, must have been last year, or the year before. How long have I been watching them? A long time. They got a set of lashes, and they had the press release with them, and they were saying that, yeah, you know, they were like mink lashes, and they were cruelty-free. Mink is an animal product, it's fur. Apparently, minks have fur that's really conducive to making really gorgeous looking lashes. I guess it's the fibers are the right length or something, or they do something magical. I'm not that into lashes, so I don't particularly know or care. Yes, if I ever get into lashes, I'll have all sorts of opinions. I'm going to take that same puree on the lower lash line, and then I think I might run over it with candied peach. We'll see. We'll see what's happening. So they were reading the press briefing, and they're saying, yeah, it's a mink lash, and it's, you know, cruelty-free. There are a lot of concerns about how mink is harvested, because they are not particularly domesticated, kind of vicious wild animals, and in order to keep them in a way that you can harvest their fur is not, most people, considered humane. But, if you remember our previous discussion, cruelty-free refers to the finished product. So, if they gather this fur, make these lashes, and they don't test the finished strip lashes on animals, then it's cruelty-free, no matter how they obtained the components. So the mink fibers themselves, how they obtained that, whether it was humane or not, doesn't affect the cruelty-free status. I think I am. I think we're going to dust over with candied peach, just kind of add a little peachiness to the warmth. We'll see how this goes. I don't really use candied peach that much. I usually don't use this palette. that much. I got it, I was really excited about it, and then it was much more neutral than I was expecting. And then other things came onto my radar. And it's just kind of hanging out in the background as like a nice warm neutral palette, but not the best. I'm going to take that same, oh, yeah, Candied Peach. Something about the way the names are set up in this palette just really confuses me sometimes. And I panic thinking I said the wrong one. So, back to what we were discussing. Them using mink fibers, since it's an animal product, makes it not vegan. And the only thing standing in the way of calling it cruelty-free is the finished product testing process. But they were getting slammed by people complaining that they were saying things incorrectly, that it was wrong, that it couldn't be cruelty-free because it was mink, and blah, blah, blah. That comment section got heated. I'm going to go ahead and take a combination of Delectable and Charmed, I'm sure, to kind of deepen up the crease. And we'll get in there. So yeah, there was a lot of anger in those comments about people thinking that Kat and Haley were trying to lie to them or that things are being misrepresented when they weren't. That was personal feelings about how the product should be referred to are different than the actual definitions, and people got into it. And it's kind of been a thing that'll pop up now and again in the discussions of people talking about this and that, whatever, and, you know, using their personal modified definitions of cruelty-free to slam products, to say things about, oh, well, that's not cruelty-free, when it's perfectly cruelty-free. That's fine. I'm going to take that same combination on this pencil brush and just kind of do my lower lash line. So like Kat and Haley had to come out and like go over it, and they'd be like, this is what these mean, this is why things can be vegan and not cruelty-free, and why things can be cruelty-free and not vegan, because you can have an item that, for various reasons, you know, they go to the lengths to make sure none of the ingredients are animal products, but based on whatever other things might be going on, that vegan product might then be tested on animals. I'm just making a mess. Okay. I also brought this. This is from Maybelline. It is the Color Tattoo in Inked in Pink. I like to use this as a base for some of the shimmers in here because they're not quite as aggressive as I would like them to be. So we give them a little help. So yeah, it's been a thing that's been, at least in the community I'm in, has been going back and forth, and most things I don't particularly care. Somebody's like, oh, it's not for me, or most reasons people will say less than nice things about a product don't matter to me. If they don't like the color story, if they don't like the brand's formula, that's their problem, not mine. You know, it's not normally an issue that we then have to go in and fight about. It's just them making a statement and everybody else moving on. But when somebody does the misinformation about cruelty-free versus vegan, or honestly, even when people say, oh, well, this brand's no longer considered cruelty-free because they sell in China, which does not technically affect their cruelty-free status unless you're adding additional restrictions onto it, which I'm trying not to talk in too many circles. It's something I will chime in on, and I will know as I'm making that comment that it's going to ruin my day, that I'm going to spend my day going back and forth with somebody who doesn't respect me and doesn't care about my opinions, where I'm just trying to, in my mind, I'm just trying to correct something that's being missaid. I'm going to take Just Peachy to top that cream shadow, get a nice opaque peachy shimmer. Because this one's, it's gorgeous. It just doesn't show up as opaque on its own as I would like it to. Because yeah, that's gorgeous. But on its own, it's a lot softer, a lot more satiny finished look. Which was unfortunate because I have had, at the time I had the chocolate bar, which has really nice shimmers in it, and I was expecting that level of pretty and that level of like metallic application and like just sticking on their own type good formula, and I got this and I'm like, this is like, it's pretty, but it needs some help. And then I'm gonna take, what am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna take Peach Pit and see how that goes, and then if I need it to be more purple, I will layer Delectable over it with this flat packing brush. And I didn't take the cream shadow all the way to the outer corner just because I feel like the things going on the inner half of my lid need to be a lot more metallic than the things going on the outer half of my lid, and that just might be me and personal preference. I don't care if the things on the outer half are as kapow shimmery as the things on the inner half. But your preferences might be different. Just like your choice to buy only vegan makeup, or to say, I buy cruelty-free and I don't buy any brands that sell in China. Might be different than my personal choices. But it doesn't mean that the description of cruelty-free and vegan changes for you, just that you have additional restrictions you're putting on your purchasing. I think I am going to take some Delectable over just to make sure that it's more purple. I feel like the outer corner ended up very brown, which I like, but still, I wanted purple. It's kind of a browny purple anyway. I don't think I'm going to get what I want out of this shadow. Let's just get a little extra with our application of this brownie purple. Like, it's got like a soft purple tint, but it's not as purple as I thought it was going to be. So I'll just keep blending. So yeah, I'm not saying that at some point I'm not going to change my mind and start buying cruelty-free, or that I don't like more vegan options being available. What I don't like is, oh, there's so much fallout from that stuff. I'm just gonna finish up as we're going. I'm gonna go here and take Nectar on the inner corner for my pop of color brightness. It's not color. It's not, well, it is a color. It is not a pop of color. But it is a nice little highlight. So yeah, I very well might change my opinion on whether I want to buy cruelty-free exclusively, or what restrictions I'm putting on my spending. But I get so frustrated by people misusing it, and honestly it ends up coming across kind of like shaming other people because, well, it's not cruelty free because blah, blah, blah. Your restrictions are on yourself and not on other people. Just because you don't support animal testing does not mean that somebody else doesn't have a legitimate reason to say, I would rather it be animals than people. Or that for whatever reason there are all sorts of different things behind the scenes that brands might not be able to, or have complications with doing cruelty-free, or making things vegan and cruelty-free, or cruelty-free and vegan. There's things happening that just don't always work, and a lot of it honestly is marketing. Most of these brands don't probably particularly care about the animal testing aspect, but they know cruelty-free is something that if you aren't cruelty-free, you don't care about, but if you are cruelty-free, will be something that factors in. So if you can say, oh, well, we've made ourselves cruelty-free, you get people who aren't because they're buying whatever they like based on interest, and the people who are saying, oh, I wouldn't buy it unless it's cruelty-free are now then going to consider that item potentially. Same with vegan. I don't see people purposely avoiding vegan items, but I do see vegans purposely avoiding non-vegan items. A lot of it is marketing, and as much as we'll go out and say, oh, it's so great that they're doing A, B, or C, it doesn't always have to do with morals, and a lot of it is marketability. And taking that into account when you're looking at things and saying, okay, yes, this thing lines up with this and this for me, but is that because the brand gives a shit, or because they know it's marketable to look like they give a shit? So, I have a lot of feelings, and that is like the thing that I will fight people in threads and stuff if they are misusing those. And it normally starts as just being like, hey, by the way, they have different definitions, they're not the same. And then it will just, sometimes the person's just like, oh yeah, personally I do this. I'm like, that's fine. Your personal choices are totally fine. You can say, I'm putting these restrictions on myself and I don't care. But the moment you start saying, oh, well, this means this and this, well, this means this, when it doesn't, it's not what it means. If you come in with green hair and say, well, I'm blonde, because that's what blonde means to me, that's not what the word means. It has a set what it means. And you saying, well, to me it means, it doesn't work in every aspect. Some words are changeable, and some of them have definitions for reasons. And I get real worked up about it. So, hopefully this has been entertaining, those of you that stuck around. If you are cruelty-free or vegan, I'm always curious as to what your motivations are and what is driving you. You can let me know. I almost said that. I have a friend who's vegan. But I do. I have a friend who's vegan, and it's very interesting to talk to her about what her motivations are for choosing that over other things, and, what does and doesn't matter for her, because it's very different for each individual person, which is something you end up with when people hear, a descriptor. They get in a stereotypical mode, and they think, oh, all these things apply to that person, which is not always. And there are a lot of different motivators for being cruelty-free and for being vegan that are super personalized, and I'm always nosy. Do you also get mad when people say A and B mean the same when they don't? Because that's a thing that really frustrates me. And we have a finished look. I don't know what I'm doing with my lipstick yet, so we just didn't put any on. I fully respect everybody's choice to either be vegan or cruelty-free, and I think that is a good choice for a lot of people. I just get very cranky about certain uses of it, and the people pushing their personal choices and restrictions onto others. So, I do a lot of restricting with how I buy makeup as well. I just have a grump. And hopefully this wasn't super frustrating for you guys to watch, those of you who stuck through. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the look at least, and I will see you all next time. Where you going? Where you going? Come here. Come here. Hi. You like the snow? Yeah? You want to play in the snow? You want to play in the snow? What is this? What is this ridiculousness?